All right, what's up, everybody? It is Cowboy. It is Monday, and it is 8:30 a.m. EST. And I don't know if you noticed, if you are following the YouTube channel, you might have seen that I put out a video yesterday, Sunday, that's like a weekly outlook. And that's what's going to happen now. I'm going to do a weekly outlook on the major Forex pairs, the indices, SP 500, Dow Jones, NASDAQ, Bitcoin, and any of the major stuff. And it's going to be largely request based. Although, I'll stick with those kind of bread and butter types. But if people put in requests ahead of time, I'll be happy to do charts for them. So bear that in mind as things go forward. Right. When you go take a look at that video, on the video itself, put in a request in the comment section, and we'll see if we can get that done for you. And my forecasts, especially on the macro or at least on the midterm, have been super accurate. Short term is more accurate than not accurate, but once you start going above a certain time frame, it starts to make a lot of sense because there's a lot less noise, and that's that. So let's jump into it. Let's start on Bitcoin, as we generally do. Let's see what's going to happen based on the last several hours. So we did see price head back down. We got a little bit of a fake out breakout, and that's unfortunate because I was in a long, and it was a textbook long. You had a very clear range, right? Price broke above that range and broke into my slightly bullish area. If you remember that video, for those who did see it yesterday. And then it just popped right back down into that range. So unfortunately, there was a rejection. The market was not ready to see this head up just yet. This might be reflected in the indices too. We're going to take a look at the ES1 next, which is basically, it's the E-mini, it's the SP 500. And so we're going to take a look at that shortly. But just a reminder of where I see, price giving me some ideas here. Like right now, I'm flat. Like Bitcoin could just head back down or not, right? Anything below 65,000 to me is what I call flat, where I'm just emotionless. I don't have any kind of sentiment or anything like that. Ideally, I would just be emotionless, but unfortunately, I am not a robot. And as much of a machine as I like to pretend I am, everybody has fear and greed. So this is on the 3-hour chart, and it's looking like it's going to maybe pull up a little bit, but I don't know that it is going to pull out of its move down for the moment because the daily is looking rather bearish for the short term. Now, this daily could pop right back up. It's not to say that it's going to continue down, but I think we are going to see at least a move down to about 62,500, where there was some support before that. And if it continues down, the next spot I'm looking at is about 60,680. Let's take a look at the liquidations over on the Kingfisher, and you have a lot of liquidations from 61,300 all the way up to about 62,000. So 61.3 to 62,000. We can kind of mark that out with a box here. 61.3 to 62,000. More or less, the liquidations are in that area. And it's really 62,000 almost exactly on the top. So I will be a little more precise with that. And if, what just what happened there? Let's undo that. 62,000. 62,000. Okay, there we go. So if price does head down, it's going to want to head down to that area. It is heading down right now. So what I might do, considering that we did have a rejection here and price technically is back in this range, I'm going to look for a move down to 62, but I want to see price maybe do like a quick pop-up. Let's go to a lower time frame and talk about a trade plan. And again, the algos are going to have to agree with this, and the liquidations are going to have to stay where they are. But we're going to see probably like maybe just a little push up and then a move down. That would be ideal. It may not happen. Might not push up. We're going to see about it. It might just continue down. It might just bump up a little bit, or it might go up here. We're going to see about that, right? Just based on some things I've seen on the 3-hour, we might see a little bit of a pop up. But this looks to me like long inducement. It looks to me like price was allowed to move up so that more people went long. I was one of them, and then price just got forced back down during a low volume weekend. And I mean, price could have easily just gotten forced up as well. However, this might have to do with what's going on in the major markets. And sure enough, we do see that the ES1 is also being pushed right back down. This is the SP 500, right? So pre-market, if you just look at the actual SP 500, pre-market is at 570. It's going to open up a little bit low. It's going to gap down on the open. So if you look at the futures, obviously we're looking at what's going on with the price, a little more of a lifetime scenario. And I did talk about yesterday in the video, we might see the SP 500 head down to roughly 57.20. And it would make a lot of sense for price to head down to that direction. There's also a gap here, and technically that's the gap, and it might get filled. There's that gap, and it hasn't been filled yet. And then if we get a little bit closer, there's actually a much larger gap that appears not to have been filled either. You have this right there. So there, whether or not the gap fills is another story, but price may want to go down there to fill that gap. Okay, so we might see a pullback in price. And again, I was looking at sideways action for the indices into the election, and we are seeing sideways action maybe being resumed, right? We had that pop up, things look really bullish, and overall, high time frame things are very bullish, especially for the indices. So, they just keep pumping money into that through people's 401ks. So eventually it will pull back, as we did see in July. We saw a pullback that was pretty substantial, actually. Let's see what that percentage pullback was. That was a 10% for the indices. That's huge. That's a very big pullback. And of course, a lot of that had to do with Japanese yen and so on. But even outside of that, in September, we saw a pullback of about 4 or 5%, which is still substantial. So these can pull back over time, though I don't bet against the indices over time. But, I am willing to short them if we do get some good short signals. And you're going to see similar patterns with the rest of the indices. So definitely a way to look at that. And a quick look at the euro. We did have a pop up out of this formation that I created, or this, I didn't create it, but, this formation that I drew. And we did have it pop up out of this. So one could even have the peak, kind of the top of that, look more like this. Something more like this, because now we're starting to see all the tops end up in the same place, more or less. So we could have that as our top. Either way, this is a bullish formation. Price probably will eventually break out of that, because when we look high time frame, everything is pretty bullish on this, right? Then it's just more or less of a demonstration of dollar weakness than it is of euro strength, because we're comparing the two currencies rather than, say, a currency versus a real world hard asset like gold. If you want to know how strong a currency is, take a look at gold, or maybe even Bitcoin. But in the meantime, we have price attempting to break out of a multi-year consolidation. And it may not, it might just reject and head back down. We'll see about it. In the meantime, we do have to move on. Oh, we got Justin Buffington saying that probably a small pullback incoming, depends on the 20 level on the VIX. Yeah. If VIX pops up pretty hard, then we can expect a pullback. And again, it would put us back into that sideways action that I would be kind of expecting for an election. This box that I drew, basically, I was expecting price to continue, and it looks like we might get that continuation sideways. So we'll see about it. So look, when you trade breakouts, you trade the breakout. If you lose the trade, you lose the trade. Just is what it is. So much love. Thank you all for watching. We're going to flip over to the private live lab. Head over to algofactory.tech. Zap the QR code in the top right-hand corner of the screen. And what we do is we teach people how to be traders. We teach people how to create their own trading method, otherwise known as an algorithm. You don't have to know how to code. It's nothing to do with computers, although you can code it. If you want to be on the road to coding your algo and having it trade for you while you're not even sitting at the computer, we can put you on the road to that as well. We really are able to kind of do it all, although most people who are with us are generally trading manually. So either way, it's pretty awesome. So come on over, algofactory.tech, trade your job, upgrade your life. Do not forget,
join us or die.